Now, on the topic of, since we were talking about TNA, apparently you watched Impact last night and remember nothing.
I mean, I remember a little bit, but it was when they talk about shows that don't stick with you, last night's show just fit that bill. It was just like I woke up this morning and it was almost like I was going like, I know I watched Impact and I actually remember some stuff on it, but it's like I really remember very little on that show. It's like they had a 4-way, and it's like I know that they beat Eric Young in the end, and that they did something to get they got rid of Joe. So it was ended up being like Magnus and Abyss, and Abyss could have pinned Eric Young and won the title, but Magnus talked him out of it, and Magnus gave him the elbow and pinned him, but it was just like the match just was kind of there. It wasn't the thing that when I watched it was like this just doesn't feel like a world championship match in any way. Now they did. This was the final day of the taping. They did I think 3 days of taping. The first day was the semi-live show. And then the second day was, the second day, which the crowd was completely dead for. The third day, they had a bigger crowd. This was on a Saturday, I think, taping. The Friday was the one that wasn't a good, that the crowd wasn't very good and was not loud. So this is the Saturday one, and the crowd was very good. I mean, they made noise and everything. I don't know, as far as, I can't say that anything was particularly good, but, the Ken Anderson-Sam Shaw straitjacket match was kind of, I don't know, not much there, and just people trying to put each other in a straitjacket. Magnus and Abyss was what you would kind of expect. The Knux thing, Knux met his dad. I have no idea who the dad is, just some dude. Looked like Gunner's dad. By the way, Gunner's dad, this was awesome. Gunner's dad was in the crowd in one of the matches that they taped before the angle.
Oh, no.
So, because they do it, yes, he was in the crowd. I saw him in right where he was sitting when they pulled him out, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
He's in the crowd in one of the shots this week. It's awesome.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So, yes, for those of you trying to figure out what we're talking about, Gunner's dad, if you don't watch Impact, was yanked out of the crowd, and a beer bottle was broken over his head by James Storm. But they do the tapings out of order sometimes. And so after his dad had the beer bottle broken over his head, you randomly, on a different day, see his dad just sitting in the crowd having fun.
Yeah, in the same spot. It actually happened last week, which I didn't notice, but this week I was actually looking for it, and I saw him. I mean, I wasn't looking directly for him, but I kind of knew, where he was, and they did a crowd, not a crowd shot, but there was something where he was there. Yeah, there he was, and it was like, oh my God. They did, they did a joke on, I think it was a joke on Triple H and Kevin Nash, or probably just Triple H. But they were billing a match with the Wolves against the Bromans for the tag team title on the show. And late in the show, Robbie E comes in and said that Jesse blew out his quad at the gym earlier in the day, and he had a doctor's note. And Davey Richards was very skeptical. He didn't believe that it was real, but MVP told him it was a legitimate doctor's note, so there's no match. And so anyway, they did that. They had MVP and Kenny King. It was supposed to be an exhibition, which actually it wasn't too bad. They kind of did some just basic wrestling with each other, chain wrestling, and then it turned into a brawl. And about 5 minutes in, and that was okay. They're doing something with the Kenny King character. It wasn't bad. The beautiful people stuff is, I'm not really into that. The Saya Sanada Tigre Uno X Division title match only got 3 minutes. I mean, it was fine for what it was, but it was way, 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 way too short. They had Kenny King. I mean, they spent a lot more time with Kenny King trying to get into the match than actually giving them the match. And it did nothing for Sanada or Tigre Uno. In fact, honestly, thought it really made Tigre Uno look bad, losing that quick. And then had another Knux situation with, Dad wants him to help with the business, and, he doesn't want to stay in town. He's got his dream, and the town needs him because of the flood. And so he's all torn about what to do. His dad needs
Sounds like the grapes of wrath.
I don't know what it was. It was just there. Dad wants him to stay in town and help the family business. And this is what he worked for, to give the business to him. And Knux has his own idea of what he wants to do. He wants to be a wrestler. So You know that Knux and Travis Brown are actually the same person, but nobody knows it. They do both sports.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I was watching when he was when Travis Brown did an interview with Ariel Helwani on Wednesday night, and it was just like, that's where Knux has been. He's been pretending to be Travis Brown.
Or vice versa. Travis Brown has been pretending to be Knux.
Because you remember the original Mike Knux, he looked like Bruiser Brody. This is Travis Brown.
Hey, did Ariel ask about his family business and anything?
Same height. Have you ever seen him in the same place at the same time?
Well, I can't say that I have, but I haven't seen you and Knux in the same place at the same time either. So.
Okay, so that wasn't the best evidence, was it?
No.
Well, all that's left now is talk about Impact.
Well, let's not waste any time, as they say.
So we missed a week. And
Thank God.
Fine with that. It's wonderful news. So the first thing was MVP opening the show with a backstage promo. He said 10 men would fight for a title shot tonight. Samoa Joe would not be there, and his only explanation was that Samoa Joe had informed the offices, well, that he was not available. And the way he worded it made it sound like Joe had backed out of the match. Reality is that Joe has a concussion, I believe. I don't know why they couldn't just say that.
They did make it seem like he had just
screw you guys.
Yeah. It was a very weird response to Joe not being there. They blamed him like he was a dick.
Yeah. MVP promised a replacement, and in hindsight, I'm not sure who that's supposed to be. He said the winner of this match would get a title shot on the pay-per-view in 2 weeks. So the Gauntlet match opened the show, and a gauntlet in TNA is code for a Royal Rumble. There were 10 guys in it, and all 10 guys got in the ring before there was a single elimination. Willow was the last man in. Rockstar Spud came out in a wheelchair and the best suit ever. Period. No argument. He climbed out of his wheelchair to get Willow out of the match, and then tried to jump in the wheelchair again, but Willow went after him and chased him to the back. Sanada got thrown out like a total geek. His entrance happened during commercial break. Long story short, it came down to Eric Young and Abyss. Magnus was out there on commentary, by the way. And they wrestled around a bit, and then Young eliminated Abyss to win with a cactus clothesline. So Eric Young, you're a top contender for the TNA title.
Eric Young.
Yeah. So Christie got in the ring to interview him. He said he had a request for MVP, and called him out, and then went to a break.
Before you go on, tell everybody how Willow was eliminated.
He was on the apron when Spud, as I noted, jumped up and grabbed him and pulled him down.
Eliminated by Spud.
Yes.
In a match for the World Heavyweight title, and then he just chased him to the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Eric's request was that he wanted his title match tonight. Magnus laughed this off and actually said it was a great idea. MVP granted the match. Magnus said that's just fine because it'll be under Magnus rules. MVP said no, it won't. The title can change hands in a DQ or countout, and Abyss is banned from ringside.
So just to recap, Eric Young wants this championship match that he's waited 10 years for. And Magnus, right there in front of MVP, blatantly admits he is going to be cheating tonight.
That was his plan, yes.
That was a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
MVP then ruled no cheating allowed tonight.
Well, that begs the question, why don't you rule that in all matches ever?
Well, I always wonder about that when they make the ruling that tonight there will be no interference. It's always like, well, why do you have no interference ever? Maybe because they realize it's good for business to have interference here and there.
I guess so.
Helps them book.
Dixie Carter was backstage.
Oh, my God. Did I miss last week? I know I did, but did she come back last week, or was this her big return?
We missed a show, and there was zero explanation for why she was back.
To be fair, I expected her to never leave. But once she'd been gone for a little while, I thought, maybe they aren't writing her off television. What a naive fool. Yep, she's back. But we'll get into that in a second.
First thing she said was, I've only been gone a month. Way to bury your own return. So she was mad at Spud. I don't know why. She left. And then I got my segments confused here. I wrote, Brittany came in to shriek and throw shit around. No, that was Willow. Willow came in to shriek and throw shit around. That's what Willow does. I wrote here an all-time lousy segment, but come on now. That's just because Willow was shrieking. Angelina Love versus ODB versus Brittany versus Gail Kim. Brittany was wearing green, which was appropriate.
Yeah.
All wrestled around a bit. Velvet sprayed something in Gail's eyes. Angelina won with a bicycle kick. Angelina gets a title shot, and then it was to the back.
Brittany she looks good. Her bumps are all right. She has a couple of good high spots because she was a gymnast. But her striking is beyond horrible. Delivering and receiving. I don't even know. It's like old Richie Magnus said, whatever that is you're doing with your hand, don't do that anymore.
Indeed.
And then when she gets hit, it's just like this ridiculous overselling. But there's hope. There's hope. But no more strikes. Let's just get those out of the repertoire for the moment.
They just did a commercial on the old Raw here for Royal Rumble on the Sega Genesis. That game was awesome. Just want to mention that. MVP met with Dixie backstage. He threatened to have her thrown out of the building, which left me once again wondering which one of you idiots is actually in charge.
Look at this kid right behind Vince and Heenan. Like he's basically putting his head right between their heads.
Yeah, Vince should have punched him.
That kid's probably our age right now.
Well, no, but we're grown up. Oh, Legends House commercial. Probably the same old one. Well, it's a new one. It's still just Legends House. Anyway. So, MVP was threatening to have Dixie thrown out, and she's saying, you can't do that. And I had no idea who's actually in charge anymore, and they gibbered and jabbered for a long time. And I think Dixie invited MVP to watch the main event, and then just nothing happened. This didn't accomplish anything, and it didn't lead to anything. It was just there. Then MVP was backstage with the Bromans minus Robbie E. And the Wolves minus Davey Richards' natural hair color. Davey has horrible new blonde hair.
It's a blonde mohawk.
It's the same orangish yellow. If any of you remember when Samoa Joe had dyed blonde hair. It's the same color. It's not a good look. So they claimed, the Bromans claimed that Robbie E had missed a flight, so they could not defend their tag titles, and instead MVP said Robbie E has until bell time to get here. If he does not get here, then Zema Ion, you will take his place in this title match. Dixie came out to the ring from the show where she was banned and is now back with no explanation.
Oh, there was an explanation. And she noted later, I'm still your boss. Who was this that she was in with?
Bully Ray.
It was Bully Ray, yeah. I'm still your boss, she said. I'm still in control of this company. I can fire you at any time. I can fire MVP. I'm like, so why don't you fire fucking everybody? Fire everybody. They killed their stipulation.
Did she say she could fire MVP?
I don't know if she said she could fire MVP, but she could fire Bully Ray. Why did she fire Bully Ray?
Fire him.
She hired Bully Ray to go out there and screw the baby faces and win the match so that she would have full control of the company, correct?
Yeah.
So she paid him all this money. He didn't do what she wanted. And then he proceeded, as he noted, to go buy a new car and a bunch of strippers.
That's what he said.
Right?
Yeah.
So fire him. Why don't you fire him?
I don't know.
Fire the guy. Fire everybody.
I don't know.
She made it very clear, I am still in charge of this company. I'm still the boss.
Yeah.
So what the fuck was the stipulation then? Didn't take her off TV. She can still do whatever she wants. She'll be all over TV. Storyline sucks.
It's horrible. The stipulation was supposed to be, I thought that she was not with the company anymore. Then I later learned it was that she was just not allowed to be on television anymore.
It wasn't even that. It was that she was no longer in charge of wrestling operations, which somehow resulted in her not being on TV for a month. Then she just came back. So I don't even know why she left TV for a month, now that I think about it. Maybe she was just mad.
So, this did get the most heat of anything on the show.
Which is astonishing because I completely zoned out.
Bully Ray got the fans to chant, "We don't like you."
We don't like you.
To be fair to Eric Young and the championship, that was not the only thing they ripped off from Daniel Bryan. Bully Ray looked Dixie in the eye and said, "This is not your company, it's the people's company." And the lion lifted word for word from the Occupy Raw angle. Eventually, Bobby Roode came out, laid Ray out from behind. They brawled. Bully Ray put him through a table. He turned to Dixie. He was intense and his fists were clenched, and he was ready to put her through a table, and she was backing off saying, "No, no, no," and the fans were cheering and going crazy. They went to commercial, and when they came back, Dixie was just backstage with zero explanation for what had happened.
I was just absolutely baffled. He's standing there. There's a table. He's stalking her. Taz is like, say the first guy that, or the first lady that Bully's put through a table, and he's stalking her. He's getting closer. No one's making the save, and they go to commercial. They come back, and they've just moved on. How did she get out of the ring?
Don't know.
Why did Bully let her go?
Don't know.
Who ran in to make the save?
Don't know. All we know is that she was backstage, and Magnus came up, and they bitched at each other for a while. Dixie,
everyone hates everyone, as usual.
Everyone hates everyone, and it's annoying and not entertaining. Dixie said that she was not going to stick around and watch Impact. She was going to go home, drink some wine, take a shower, and go to bed. So jealous. I wish I could do what Dixie did. I had to finish Impact, and there'll be no wine or shower for me before going to bed.
So if she doesn't want to be there, and she doesn't want to watch the show, then who gives a fuck if she's not on TV anymore?
I don't know.
What is she mad about?
Who knows? Who knows?
It's just like, I'm completely stunned. She's mad that she lost the power to book wrestling, but she doesn't even want to be there or watch the show. She just wants to go home and drink. She's rich. Just go home and drink your fucking wine.
I don't know.
Why do you want to be here? I do not get this angle at all.
It's because it's poorly written. It's very bad. Zema Ion and Dixie Carter versus the Wolves. It was fun while it lasted. The Wolves,
which was not long.
No. The Wolves appeared to have the match won. When Robbie E arrived, he yanked the ref out of the ring for the DQ. They kept their belts and they were happy, and that was it.
Oh, my God. Bradshaw, JBL's dad.
And his mom and sister are all on TV.
Lavelle Layfield. What a great name.
All right. Where were we? Oh, Christy. Christy cut a backstage promo, announced she was calling Sam Shaw out to the ring so they could talk about commitment. Went to the break. When they came back, as promised, Christy was in the ring. She said Shaw was not a creepy bastard. He was just misunderstood. He came out. He was happy to hear she had seen the light. She's being all flirtatious and coy, asking him if he'd follow her anywhere, biting the glove off his hands. Finally asked him to close his eyes. When he closed his eyes, up on the screen, a white van arrived that read, and I quote, "Psychiatric Services" on the side. The back door of the van opened up. Mr. Anderson popped out. He ran into the building. He hit a mic check on Anderson, knocking him out. Did some wacky comedy, saying they were taking him to the funny farm. Crowd sang the goodbye song. That's JBL on a horse. Sorry. This is better than Impact. He took Shaw outside, threw him in the van, was about to slam the doors when Shaw made a comeback, escaped from the Psychiatric Services van, and ran away, and the angle ended.
Yeah.
So apparently, if you, the owners of the operators of the insane asylum in the Orlando area, they will let anyone get committed if you can throw them into the van.
Not just that. not just that. Listen, if this is the end of the Sam Shaw character, if this was writing him out of storylines because of the shocking realization that this storyline sucks, then I can tolerate the wackiness of this segment. Sometimes you have an idea, turns out it wasn't a good idea, and so you find a goofy way to get out of the idea and you move on with your lives. If that's what this was, fine. If I have to see Sam Shaw again next week and the week after, then this was just beyond stupid. Because yes, apparently, psychiatric services, which is a white van with psychiatric services written on it, no slogan,
No hospital name,
no phone number,
no contact info,
no website, nothing. Just psychiatric services. Apparently, they will loan you their van. You can go anywhere and not just grab someone and commit them against their will with no court order that I'm aware of, but you can kick their ass before you commit them involuntarily.
Do you realize how fucking dumb this show is?
This was so unbelievably stupid.
Not only that, but if you are crazy and you get thrown in the van, if you escape, you're free to go.
Yeah, I guess. He didn't escape, so we don't know that for sure.
He escaped. He fought his way out of the van and ran away.
He did?
Shaw did.
I may have left the room in fury.
You may have just quit.
So wait a second. So he has not been committed.
No.
God damn it. This sucks then. This fucking sucks.
This segment accomplished nothing.
He got away?
It made no sense.
What do you mean he got away?
Well, let's watch it again if you want.
I don't want to go watch it again.
Sam Shaw is free and loose on the streets of Orlando as we speak.
So, this makes me mad now. So the storyline is that Mr. Anderson went to psychiatric services. He said, I got a guy for you. They said, here's the van. He drove the van to Impact. He went out. He assaulted this guy. And by the way, this is now a conspiracy because Christie was involved. So they assaulted this guy. They dragged him into a psychiatric services van. And then he escaped and has run off into the night. He's loose.
Yeah.
We heard nothing more about this on the entire show?
Correct.
This is the worst storyline I've ever seen.
Yes. Every Sam Shaw segment ever sucks.
I think there was one segment that didn't suck. They had a match that was all right. Yeah, this sucks. Christie was a fine seductress, by the way.
Well, yes. I would have followed her into a van, yes. I just like that I explained all this and you were not listening to a word I said.
No, I was, but I had not seen him run off. I was watching Bradshaw. Give me a break.
Oh, that's true.
You admitted yourself that this Bradshaw Confidential is better than Impact.
Yeah.
And that is a fact.
That is a fact. Is Bradshaw in the WLAF? So, the main event.
There's no one named Lavelle on this Impact show.
That's true. The main event was Eric Young beating Magnus for the world title. It was a pretty good TV main event wrestling match.
Eric Young is a good wrestler.
Yeah.
But he is a comedy geek.
Well, he's only got a decade of doing that.
Oh. Yeah, one win of this title that's been on a paper champion for months. That'll turn everything around.
Yes. Yes.
You know the worst part of this was when Eric Young wins the title and he falls down on his knees and the referee gives him the title and Eric refuses to believe it. Think about that. It's one thing when you can't believe you won and then, oh my God, I won. And then, yeah, I'm the champ. It's not what Eric did. Eric was like, I won? How did I win? How did I possibly become champion? It's preposterous to the character. Think about that. I don't think I've ever seen anyone win a world championship and give this kind of reaction. I cannot believe that I accomplished this. This accomplishment is beyond me, but I have somehow done it. It's ridiculous. But yes, he won the championship with a pile driver.
Yeah.
Nothing more to add?
I don't know. I forget if I mentioned this now, but he told me what happened before we watched it, and I didn't really care. And then watching it, I realized what a horrendous ripoff it was. Shameless ripoff.
Shameless. Bearded man wins championship in upset after wrestling twice in one night.
But the idea that we should be upset or disapproving that a comedy geek is world champion, it's just the TNA title. Doesn't matter. I don't take Eric Young any more or less seriously than I took Magnus.
Yeah, but you know what, though, Vinny?
No, what?
Our business, this website, is doing great. Very happy with it. But let's just say that it started to sink. And then it sunk even more. And then it was really starting to sink. And then we were in dire straits.
All right.
Where it was the point of, man, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I may have to shut down the website.
Okay.
I'd fucking be fighting. I'd be trying to fight my way back to success.
Sure.
This company is sinking. This ship is sinking. And instead of getting a pail and scooping up water and throwing the water overboard, they're taking the pail and they're scooping water out of the ocean and putting it into the boat.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Well, I can't argue with that.
This company is a sinking, dying ship. And their movements here are, especially this week, when it's one thing when, like, you know, your business isn't doing well, but overall the wrestling business isn't doing well. WWE is fucking on fire.
Yes.
Firing on all cylinders. This WrestleMania weekend was like, it was like a boom period. Everything was so great. Everybody was so excited. Everything was so good. An amazing WrestleMania. Some people are calling this the best Raw they've ever seen. I wouldn't go that far. But people really, really loved Raw. Maybe when I watch Raw on TV, I'll go, God damn, that was one of the best Raws I've ever seen. But people have been telling me that. It was the best Raw I've ever seen. I had people calling, telling me that on the show. And so, the business is not dying. The business is doing well. WWE is doing just fine. TNA is in dire straits. And so what are their moves? Let's announce. It's one thing if you just put Christie on the creative team, but they sent out a press release. They sent out a press release on Monday announcing to the world their big move of putting Christy Hemme on the creative team. And then they follow it up with a blatant C-level ripoff of WrestleMania. What are they thinking? Just astonishes me. Just completely astonishes me.
I don't know what to tell you.
Let me read some of these tweets. Plethora here. They're shooting more holes in the boat. Brian, now that it's over, I can confirm Magnus is the worst world champion ever. Arquette had more credibility than him. I wouldn't go that far. But Plethora asks as well, was Magnus the worst world champion ever? Let's not forget guys like Jack Swagger. Let's not forget some of these world champions we've seen.
Yeah. Didn't at least Arquette, technically, he was in the main event, that the Tower of Doom match. Didn't that actually do okay? It's been 15 years.
I guarantee that the pay-per-view where David Arquette defended that title did probably 10 times the number of buys that this next TNA pay-per-view is going to do. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Danny, EY equals money and ratings. Incorrect! Plethora, MVP is a dope. Where is Todd Martin to say how Impact is not as bad as people say? Jorge here wants a live play-by-play of the network instead. Tony, even if it isn't a Daniel Bryan ripoff, Eric Young is champion. Seriously? Did TNA think that people will buy a pay-per-view for $45 to see if Magnus can get his belt back from EY?
That is an excellent question.
Yes, that is what they expect. I honestly don't see the similarities, this person says, with EY and Daniel Bryan outside of the beard. Joe has more similarities with Bryan due to the storyline. No, he doesn't. They did the exact same thing. EY got put in a match where if he won, he would get a championship match at the end of the show. Actually, on the pay-per-view, they moved to the end of the show. Worked twice in one night, won the title at the end of the show. Big bearded underdog man.
The underdog is the key
It's
thing.
exactly the same.
They were all talking about how can you even imagine what would happen if Eric Young would be champion. And the champion, Magnus laughed off Eric Young in much the same way Triple H laughed off
Virtually
Daniel Bryan.
exactly the same.
The more I think about it, the more appalling this theft is. Theft! That's what this was.
You get to watch Impact.
No, I got to.
It is a guilty pleasure.
You know, when I got here, Vinny goes, "Craig, do you watch this?" And I told him, "Yeah, but it takes me like 20 minutes to get through a 2-hour Impact because."
Dude, I wish it could take me 0 minutes to get through this show.
You know, I'll do the fast forward thing, and then I'll see the wolves on there, and I'll stop, and I'll.
So you can watch Davey's hair.
Yeah, that's no good. But yeah, I'll just watch the stuff I want to see, and then I get done. And found it painful.
Yeah.
To sit through, 2 hours and.
You know why it's not painful to me?
Because you were running around not paying attention.
Well, I did miss half the show.
You did disappear for a quarter of the show.
My foot I got a cut on my foot. I had to apply first aid.
I believe it was. I'm going to go with the theory it was self-inflicted.
Dude,
this show is so bad, I will cut my own skin.
Listen, I went to take care of my injury during the Wolves match, and I bet I could tell you what happened.
Yeah.
They had a good match. There was a fuck finish, and the Wolves didn't win.
Well, you're not wrong.
See? I didn't need to be there for it.
Right.
So I made the right choice. Right?
You know what?
Yeah, but we were not given that option, though.
And
You're right.
There was a Willow promo, and Vinny said, "Craig, you need to rewind that and pause it and wait for Bryan." And we called you back down. And you glanced up at the screen, you go, and then looked back down at your phone, and then walked off.
I was my toe. I was trying to find the Neosporin for
app?
my toe. Maybe I put it on my Evernote. The location of the...
Oh, really? Like a treasure map?
Yeah.
I see.
I could totally see Bryan doing that.
First off, I did watch the Willow promo. And quite frankly, it was not nearly as good as later in the show when Willow was talking about Eric Young's title win. That was a great promo. When Willow said, and I quote, "Eric Young is the greatest champion TNA has ever had."
He said that.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, Willow has had that belt on multiple occasions.
Eric Young is the greatest champion. I'm sorry, I just blew everybody's ears
Everyone
out.
just quit. Everyone just quit.
What are you talking about?
All the people who subscribe canceled.
Don't do that. All right, let's go over this show.
So, they showed Eric Young's title win last week. Had a clip of him cutting a promo thanking the fans, celebrating with ODB, and then backstage he was weeping and saying it was even more perfect than he'd imagined.
That's what he said.
And he came out before the live crowd.
What
for
did he imagine?
I don't know.
It was less perfect than what happened.
I just like the idea of more perfect. It's either it's perfect or it's not.
No, it's more perfect, Vinny. Look it. It was more perfect.
How can I argue with this debate?
Wow.
This fucker. I love Eric Young, but if I hear him say "look it" one more time, I will stop watching Impact.
Good. Eric Young, please do me a favor. Say "look it" as often as possible. So he came out for this promo. Here he is now, the new World Heavyweight Champion, looking more homeless than ever.
CM Punk level homeless, too.
And worse than that.
No, this was worse.
Okay.
CM Punk would have given this guy money.
Came out in his dirty sweatshirt and jeans, his unkempt beard and receding hairline, just looked bad. Fans clapped and chanted he deserved it, except for one fan who was just kept on clapping.
No rhythm at all.
No rhythm at all. No idea when to clap and when to chant. He was just, boy, he's passionate. Can't question this as passion.
This thing, this Eric Young thing, is just, it's such a low rent ripoff.
Oh, we'll get to that.
But
believe me, I have a lot to say about that.
But I got to say one thing. I actually do partially blame the fans because Craig is completely distracted by
Jeff Jarrett, and is that Laurel and Hardy he's with there?
I think that might be Laurel. Or is it Hardy? Anyway, I think I've been there. Maybe not. Anyway, I rarely blame the fans for anything, but these goddamn fans chanting "You deserve it," like a week after this fans chanted the exact same thing to Daniel Bryan on Raw. Do they realize they're only making it worse when they chant yes and when they chant Daniel Bryan? Maybe I shouldn't blame the fans, actually, now that I think about it. Maybe I should blame TNA for doing such a blatant ripoff that the fans are doing WWE's chants in the middle of it.
Wait till we get to Dixie's promo.
Listen, yeah, you're stealing my thunder.
Sorry.
So, Eric Young said, I won this for myself. I'm defending it for all of you. Thank you for 10 years of unwavering support. So apparently they also supported him when he was a bad guy. Dixie came out to interrupt. She promptly took credit for the win. Then she said, quote, I invented the beard.
I actually liked it.
Not, cavemen. Dixie Carter. Okay, that actually, it was funny in her audacity. Then she said, and this is where it went off the rails. She said she was the one who had made beards fashionable, and looking directly into the camera, she said she should sue everyone else wearing a beard on TV for ripping off her intellectual property.
Yeah.
They're not even hiding the fact that they're ripping off WWE. In fact, they are emphasizing it by making it a joke.
Flaunting.
Big neon sign. We're ripping off Raw. Astounding. So, they began to exchange horrible dialogue about flushing crap and hood ornaments. She said, you are going to honor and obey me. And he said, I honor and obey nobody. I hope ODB wasn't listening. Then he referenced Dukes of Hazzard, and Dixie made fun of him for making such a dated reference. And you know what? She was right. This was the most self-destructive segment I've ever seen.
I don't know about that.
Just completely sabotaging themselves. Robbing themselves of all credibility in the opening segment.
I've seen indie shows where they have promos where there's 20 people in the building. It reminded me of that.
Dude, you haven't been watching the show. That's every promo.
Oh, it was so
Every
bad.
promo. Sounds empty in there. Everywhere they go, it sounds empty.
Not just empty, just the bad dialogue, the forced jokes. It just so indie-rific.
So, eventually, Bully Ray came out. He got everyone to say they're sick of Dixie and sing the goodbye song. And Dixie left.
She left. That's all we got to do is fucking sing that song?
She
I'll
obeyed.
sing the song. Stay on my television, and I will sing the song on the show every week.
And so,
it's live, by the way.
Bully Ray put Eric over, and he led the crowd in chanting Eric's name. So obviously, Bully Ray is going to stab Eric in the back soon. Madison Rayne versus Velvet Sky in a street fight for some reason.
Why was this a street fight?
This was
not to mention they had a monster's ball in the main event.
Yes. This was the most Russo-rific segment they've had in quite a while. First of all, it's a street fight for no reason, right there. Second of all, the beautiful people come out first, and they grab weapons, and they turn the aisle. And as soon as Madison Rayne comes down this aisle, they're going to beat her ass with weapons. Then Madison comes out from the other side and attacks them. And she throws Velvet in the ring, and the match starts. And so Angelina just stops.
Just stays outside.
It's a street fight, but she's obeying the rules.
Of course. No, she's not obeying the rules. Because according to the rules, she could get in and whip the girl's ass.
Yeah. So then you just get two girls whacking each other with weapons. A lot. And finally, Angelina tried to interfere at the end, but Madison fought her off. She hit Velvet with what was supposed to be a spear and won. It sucked.
The conversation that was going on during this, Vinny's soon-to-be missus and Brian's missus are in the kitchen, and they catch a glimpse of the screen, and then a discussion on underwear took place. Is that a thong?
This is shocking you.
And Vince
goes, talking about the moves?
It's one of those in-between thongs, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
Aren't all thongs? Never mind.
Yeah. Yes, all thongs are in between. That's correct.
You know what really struck me about this match? Boobs. No. What really struck me about this match,
got a 3D TV,
to break this down into an in-depth analysis, which you're all paying for, Remember when the Beautiful People gimmick was like awesome?
Best thing.
Like 3 or 4 years ago.
Best thing in the women's division.
Yes.
You remember this?
Yeah.
Okay. TNA can't even recreate their own successful gimmick in 2014.
With the same characters.
With the same girls doing the same gimmick.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
It's up there.
That's incredible. It's one thing when like WWE has Jeff Hardy, and then TNA takes Jeff Hardy, and they can't make of him what WWE made of him. But here's TNA taking the same performers that did the exact same gimmick, the exact same women doing the exact same gimmick, and in 2014 they can't even make it work. That is when you know they're beyond hope. Who won, by the way?
Madison.
That's right.
Eric Young sucked up to Bully Ray backstage. Ray said he was going to the strip club.
Then he didn't.
Apparently, yeah. Abyss arrived. He challenged Eric to a title match for tonight. The whole time they were talking, they were playing the background music like they couldn't wait for it to go to commercial. The segment went on, and Eric accepted Abyss's challenge, and he also made it a Monsters Ball match, and they called each other crazy for a while.
I wonder if Bully has some sort of deal with Ricks where he promotes them on TNA and they give him free admission.
Good.
Because he always mentions them by name.
I had no idea they were a chain. You alerted me to that, actually.
I made that up and Vinny confirmed it.
Oh.
I said they were a franchise.
There's a Ricks in
As a
City,
joke, like
there's
you
a
could
Ricks in New York.
franchise out a strip club. It's preposterous.
I had no idea.
I'll just move on. EC3 and Spud had a meeting backstage about being scared of Willow. Ethan gave him a pep talk, said, "You're the one who pushed Willow off a ladder, and tonight you will end Willow's career." And then, after years and years and years of segments where it was to the back, here it was, to the ring! And they cut to an MVP promo like in the middle of his sentence in the ring.
It was so abrupt that I thought it was a replay.
Yeah. So, MVP congratulated Eric on his win.
I don't know why I said it like that.
He said Samoa Joe skipped the show for no explanation.
I hated this segment with a passion.
Feeling because they worked at the Indies together.
Is there some fucking backstory that I should know about this that I don't know and thus this makes no sense?
He explained it here.
Well, he didn't do a very good job.
I know.
I mean, is this based... I think it is based on... Something did happen with Aries. I don't know what it was.
I wasn't even getting to that yet.
Huh?
I wasn't even getting to that. I thought you meant the backstory with Samoa Joe.
No, in real life. Oh, we're still Samoa Joe?
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, there was a
Why
real...
do I even talk?
There was a real backstory with Aries. Well, you're talking, I'm looking at my notes, and apparently I was jumping forward in my own notes.
You took notes?
I always take notes. That's what I do on my phone, you jackass. I'm taking notes.
Really?
Go ahead, Vinny.
He's going to.
No, you don't need me apparently.
He's going to prove it to me.
Go on, Vinny.
So, Aries came out. And anything?
Yeah. Something happened with Aries, and so he was out of action for a while. But I don't know the whole story. But apparently you and I and Craig and all the viewers are supposed to know the whole story, because apparently the whole story was based around this fucking interview. I don't know what's going on. What was Aries and MVP talking about?
Actually, they had a reason for it here. Although, to be fair, they did not explain it very well, and I happen to remember what they were talking about. Austin Aries screwed MVP in a match. Or something about he was going to be on his team at lockdown, and he screwed him and joined the other team.
That's right.
And so, because of that, MVP kept Aries off TV for a while.
So that does make sense.
It does make sense.
Why is he back?
So
that was not explained.
He shouted at each other for a while. MVP challenged him to a fight and said, "No, you're a felon. I'll wrestle you next week."
This show is so stupid.
Uh-huh.
Isn't MVP in charge?
Yeah.
So
Is
shouldn't
he?
he just say, "Hey, take your goddamn stuff off. We're going to wrestle right now"? Why is Austin Aries calling the shots on the guy that runs the company?
Don't know.
No. Furthermore, why is he just back?
Don't know.
He got sent home by the guy in charge. Then he just comes back. You know, I've been sent home for 6 weeks. This is enough. I'm just going to go back.
So if you get fired from a job, you just
Yeah.
show up the next day,
I couldn't get hired anywhere else. I'm just going to come back.
just start working.
But I'm going to start next week.
Bromance versus the Wolves. We've talked about this already. Except for the fact that Davey has a horrible haircut. This is nothing new. Willow cut a promo.
Yes,
he
he did.
certainly did.
Cannot do this justice. We can replay the whole thing. It was short. All I can say is that he ranted about boogers and, quote, dirty sheets.
He was talking about...
And only on the second watching did I get that reference.
He was talking about dirt sheets, you see.
But he said dirty sheets.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about the dirt sheets?
Who the hell knows what Willow's talking about? He squealed, and by the time this is over, I could not wait for
You better not have been talking about me. I'm his biggest supporter. I may be his only supporter.
That's true.
I'm even plugging his umbrellas that are for sale for $40 on
They
Shop
are,
TNA.
in fact, selling his umbrellas on the website.
They have
they're
a
on
deal
sale
right now where you can get the umbrella and a shirt
It's got that and water.
at 25% off right now.
Really?
That's right. Go to TNAshop.com.
I like the idea they're going to sell you an umbrella and you can also get the water to go with it for an extra $10. They're selling an umbrella for $40.
Gosh, I'd sure like to use my umbrella, but we don't have any rain. Wait, I have water right here.
Came with it.
Don't you have like a shower or a hose?
No.
All right.
Should have done a Noah tie-in.
So Eric Young, for like the 47th different time, cut a passionate promo backstage after his championship win. Worst thing about this is, they tape shows and they finish a show and then tape another one. So Eric's sitting there talking about how it's a dream come true and he's worked so hard. And meanwhile, Madison Rayne's music is playing in the background. Oops. EC3 and Spud versus Willow. To be honest, there's stuff in the show I enjoyed, and I enjoyed this match.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as if Jeff Hardy can't wrestle. It's not like Spud's not funny. It's not like Ethan's not funny for that matter. So, Jeff ran wild, cut him off, made his big comeback.
Squished him.
Who got squished here?
Remember he did that elbow and squished
Oh,
Jeff?
good God.
Ethan did the elbow and squished Jeff. So Willow came back. He pinned Spud with a twist of fate. And then Ethan was attacking Willow until Kurt Angle ran out. Angle and Ethan had a stare down.
Very tan.
Kurt hit him with one German. Ethan bailed. And Tenay, in hyping Kurt's return, said, "What a moment!" in the absolute phoniest manner possible.
At least we got a replay.
The best thing about this was when EC3 and Spud were coming down to the ring, and Ethan was upset with Spud trying to do Ethan's entrance.
Yes.
And it was actually very funny throughout the whole entrance. It was good.
It was good stuff. So then we had the best thing on the show. Kurt, no, serious.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were going to talk about the Sanada video. That was my favorite part
by
of the
the
show.
end, I actually enjoyed that, but we'll get to it. Kurt cut a promo on Ethan, and there was no silliness. There was no bad comedy. This is just a pissed off guy who knew he was a badass, threatening to break Ethan's arm, his leg, and his ankle. He was spitting mad. Crowd inexplicably chanted for tables. Stupid crowd. And Kurt finally said, "By the time I'm done with you, they're going to take you away in a body bag." A great promo by a very scary man.
It was awesome.
This was awesome. They were backstage. They always do this bit where a guy will be backstage and you will hear an interviewer ask a question but never see them. So the question was talking to Bobby Roode, and they say he's having a table war with Bully Ray, and the question concludes with, and I quote, "What's going on with all this?" Journalism, everyone. Journalism. So Roode said tonight he was going to issue an open challenge to anyone except Bully Ray for a tables match. Now we have the Sanada video.
Awesome.
So
he does a lot of running.
The whole thing is it's Sanada talking, but of course he speaks Japanese, so it's subtitled in English. And he gets up very early in the morning. He vigorously brushes his teeth.
Up and down.
Up and down. Which was,
I've never seen that before.
Maybe the Japanese brush their teeth differently.
With the toothbrush vertical.
Yeah. Then he went for...
He's got great teeth.
Then he went for a jog. Not a run. A light jog.
I was just baffled he got up at 4:30 in the morning to train for TNA.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Well, he explained it. He had a heavy load on his shoulder. He was representing the honor of the Great Muta in all of Japan. And also he had to impress the American fans, and this weighed heavily on him. And he had a best-of-3 match series with Tigre Uno, a man he respected, a man with great fighting spirit, and he had to be ready for this challenge. And so he was jogging.
A lot.
And then he's jogging. It just says, continue next week. Perhaps he'll move on to...
Because he's halfway to his destination.
Or he's halfway there. Maybe he'll move on to, like, free weights.
He's
at
2.5K.
Kenny King came out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just sit back.
No, actually,
you were the best part about this.
I don't know what happened.
I don't either.
But Bryan lost his mind here.
Yeah.
You know why?
No.
I'll tell you why. Because at this point, the show felt really long.
That is true.
Tell me more.
That is true.
And Kenny King came out here and he just started ranting.
Mm-hmm.
And he just talked and talked and talked. And nobody cared. And worse, they cut the camera about 95 times.
Yes.
From straight at him to underneath him to above him to straight at him to underneath to above, talk. And all that talking led to him announcing he's going to do commentary.
That's right.
I'm like, why the fuck didn't you just say all this when you were on commentary? Why did you waste all my time here?
Because they had to show his dope outfit.
Not for 15 minutes.
Might have been 90 seconds.
He was actually wearing what I assume is his stripper gimmick.
I was irrationally upset. I won't lie.
Yes.
It happens sometimes. I'm human.
Sometimes.
I wouldn't know anything about that. So, the gist of this was, he, like Aries, was bitching about never being on TV.
I'm going to compliment you, Vinny.
Mm-hmm.
You're wrong when you say that you get irrational.
How is that a compliment?
I'm going to tell him.
Welcome to my world, everyone.
I'm going to tell him why this is a compliment.
It's the most underhanded thing I've ever heard.
No, listen to me. I got irrationally upset about this Kenny King thing.
Mm-hmm.
Vinny, honest to God, rarely gets irrationally upset. It's usually very rational in the things that cause him to freak out.
Okay.
Usually he's calm, and somebody, not me of course, will needle him and prod him and poke him until finally he flips out. This is a perfectly rational response. So in fact, it was a compliment when I said you were wrong, Vinny. Very rarely are your freakouts truly irrational.
I saw my first Vinny freakout in Orlando. Up until then, we had only watched pay-per-views at my house, or we had sat and watched wrestling, and then we got into Orlando traffic, and I saw Vinny lose his mind.
Oh, yeah. They weren't the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was...
sucked.
Kind of frightening,
Sorry,
actually.
I apologize.
No. It was good to see that...
It's good to see you had a pulse.
It's good to see you have some passion somewhere.
That was a backhanded comment. That right there.
I'm just going to move on.
I was trying to be friendly all this whole time.
So Sanada wrestled Tigre Uno.
It's fine.
It was the second match in the best-of-3 series. It was fun in a limited amount of time. Tigre hit something that was kind of like a suplex, only it threw Sanada onto his face, which I don't think is how suplexes are designed.
It was a suplow.
Like Gordon Soley used to say.
Yeah, but not a supple, a suplow.
Right. And then Tigre hit a corkscrew 450 for the win. And boy, hell of a follow-up to that Sanada video.
Oh, yeah.
He sure let Japan down.
He should have got up at 350.
I guess so.
That suplex he threw, Tigre Uno threw a kick. Or no, Sanada threw the kick. And then it landed over his shoulder. And then he did like a fisherman buster and dropped him. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was fitting because the one replay they showed from their first match saw Sanada dropping him on his head with a suplex. I don't know if it was dragon or what kind it was, but I got to say one thing about this match. 10, 12, 15 years ago, when you saw a match like this on US TV, it was unique. You were seeing something that you weren't supposed to see. Mm-hmm. You were seeing something different from what you saw with these big lugs standing there. In 2014, you can no longer throw two good workers out there and have them do a bunch of flips and have people care. It doesn't work anymore. Which is good that they showed that Sanada video. Now I need a Tigre. I need to see Tigre Uno's training regimen before the final match. Hopefully it involves jumping. Trampoline, you know what I mean?
Where are we here?
Bully talking to a mystery
Bully
man.
Ray, back from the strip club already. Apparently he blew all his money. Yeah, I almost thought the same thing. Bully Ray came back and he gave Gunner a pep talk. And then we had Gunner versus Bobby Roode in a tables match. It was fine.
I like Gunner.
I like Gunner. I like Bobby Roode. It was a fine match. They teased a lot of moves through tables, of course. And then finally, Gunner went up top. James Storm ran out to distract him because that feud must never die. Roode press-landed him off the top rope onto the table. The table refused to break. I laughed uproariously.
Say it.
The table went into business for itself.
There you go.
He did, actually. And Roode, to his credit, total pro, just walked over, grabbed Gunner, and hit a Roode bomb through the table for the win. Didn't miss a beat. And then Storm was going to attack him more, but Bully Ray ran out to make the save. Had thoughts on various stars on Eric Young's championship win. I said stars, I really mean TNA wrestlers. Madison Rayne was happy about it. Ethan said fairy tales never have a happy ending. Willow said Eric Young. I'm going to try it like he said it.
All right, hold on.
Let me
ahead.
know. Eric Young is the greatest world champion TNA's ever seen.
I don't know if I got it.
That's the best I could do.
I tried.
And then Taz talked for like 3 minutes
Mm-hmm.
about how he had like good muscle tone and stuff.
Yeah.
He had good muscle tone.
That's what he said.
It was funny listening to all these guys explain why he was a fitting champion. They had Madison saying like he's got a good beard.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, welcome to 2014. That's why we're champion. No one said he's the best wrestler in the world right now.
He can beat anybody.
Wrestler was never mentioned.
He's got good muscle tone. He's got a great beard. He's got charisma. What the fuck does that have to do with winning or losing the championship of the earth?
Well, apparently, if you have a good beard, as Dixie stated in the first
Actually,
segment.
statistically, it's
Anyway.
good hearing this.
Yeah.
And then Eric cut like his 47th promo on the show about how he's proud to be world champion. He was going to prove it with all this plunder. So, main event, Eric Young versus Abyss in a Monsters Ball match. Eric's goofball video must go, or he must lose his belt immediately.
Oh, God, this cartoon Titantron.
He's just making silly faces. It's no buys. Match was fun. Kind of silly. Actually, it was very silly for a long time. All the weapon shots you've seen, and Abyss grabbed Janice, and of course, it immediately ended up in a turnbuckle. And then by the end, it actually was really intense and good. And Eric took a chokeslam and a thumbtacks, which looked like it sucked very badly, resulting in many, many wounds. And then Abyss grabbed a barbed wire board, but Eric cut him off, drop kicked him onto the board, and then hit a top rope elbow for the win. Pretty good TV match by the end, especially for those of you who are still stuck on not liking WWE because it's PG. Well, folks, this was PG-13. This was hardcore. You won't see this on Raw.
I'm not going to talk all night, but I want to say something about Eric Young. In like 2005, there was a house show here.
Yeah.
That we went to. And Eric Young was on the show. And this was before Super Eric or any of this other bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
He was just Eric Young, Canadian wrestler. And goddamn, this guy was awesome. He was so good. He was the only guy on the entire show. We had bought these special tickets. You remember this?
Oh, I do.
They had like $75 tickets where you got to sit upstairs in the balcony area with the wrestlers.
Yeah.
When they weren't working.
That's right.
So we bought the $75 tickets, and we were the only ones there.
Well, no. Here's what happened. You got 2 comp tickets.
I see.
And then we went to buy a regular ticket, but see, you had the VIP.
Oh.
So we got, and I quote, "I'm going to make you the deal of a lifetime." And she sold us a VIP ticket for the regular price.
Wow.
And myself, you, and Vinny sat up in the VIP section by ourselves.
By ourselves.
Nobody else bought
There was
VIP
not a single
tickets.
other person.
That's
and
right.
there were probably 30 people in the building, maybe. 40? 45?
less than
60?
100. Less than
Are you
100.
counting the crew?
Yeah, are you counting the wrestlers?
Yeah.
Anyway.
There were no more than 30 fans.
It didn't do well, and we were the only ones upstairs in the special area. But anyway, the point of this is, Eric Young was the only guy on this show where when he was in the ring doing his match, every single one of the wrestlers went up there and they watched his match.
Absolutely.
And they all marked out for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good Eric Young was.
This includes like Elix Skipper.
Oh yeah. Well,
well,
it's not like that's.
Well,
anyway.
I'm just saying.
there were a lot
there
of
were guys.
TNA talent on that show.
Yes, there were a lot of good guys on the show.
The Naturals were there.
Yeah.
Well,
you're both killing my argument.
Matt
but
Farmer.
anyway, the point of this is, he was just great.
Yeah.
So then he goes to TNA, or he's in TNA, and they put him in Team Canada. Who's the guy that was the manager for Team Canada?
Eric Young.
D'Amore.
Oh.
D'Amore, Scott D'Amore.
Yeah.
Nice guy, but by the end of the Team Canada run, it was go away heat.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
So you didn't want to watch Team Canada, and then Eric Young becomes like, he's super Eric, he's doing all of this comedy bullshit. And so here we are in 2014, and out of nowhere, because Daniel Bryan won the title, they put the world title on this guy. So I'm watching this show, and it's like, Eric Young is a really good talker. Mm-hmm. When he was in there in the opening segment with Dixie, and he was cutting her down, he was great. He cut a good promo before the main event, and then he went in there and he worked his ass off in the main event because he's a great professional wrestler. But you know what? He's Eric Young. And they spent so many years making him such a geek that the idea of Eric Young as champion, like,
it's laughable.
Everybody loves the guy. He's a nice guy. He's a talented guy. But the idea that Eric Young is a TNA World Heavyweight Champion is just ridiculous.
Agreed.
So all I got to say about this is, if you're a wrestling company and a guy comes along and he's got a lot of talent, it doesn't matter how talented the guy is or how well he can do your bullshit comedy. Don't turn him into a comedy guy. Take a guy like Santino, who could not care less, who enjoys doing comedy. Santino doesn't want to go in there and take bumps every night and be on the road killing himself every day. He's got an MMA school. He's perfectly happy going out there and doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Take a guy like that, let him do the comedy. But when you got a guy like Eric Young in 2005, and the guy's really good, and he's got potential, don't kill the guy. Because that's what they did, and now they're paying for it. This company's a joke. All last week, I was getting all these texts from people in WWE just laughing uproariously. And they also did the same thing, like, we love Eric. It's nothing against Eric. Eric's a great guy. But it's so stupid. It's a blatant rip-off. Let's do this impact report here. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about this spin cycle. I hear you're not a fan.
I did not enjoy the spin cycle.
Really? I will say that I was fixing to be infuriated in about the first 2 minutes.
Yes.
When they kept doing the spin cycle thing and Ethan Carter was singing.
Yes.
And it just kept going and going and going.
Yes.
It took a lot of willpower to not shut it off.
Yes.
With that said, once it actually got going, two things. First off, the trivia contest. What they did here was there was a trivia contest. And it was Zema Ion versus ODB. And then it was EC3 versus Spud, or at least that was the announced lineup. Card subject to change. And so what it was Jeremy Borash asked 3 questions. And if whoever got the question right got to throw water in the other person's face. Now, this struck a chord in me because I don't like water. I hate water. And not only do I hate water, but what I hate more than water is water on my face. So the whole concept was a nightmare to me, first off. So they do the contest, and I'm sitting there thinking, just for fun, I'm going to try and win this contest. I'm going to see if I can win this TNA trivia contest. Do you remember all of the questions, Vinny? Did you write them down?
I actually did.
Okay, let's go through these questions here. ODB and Zema Ion.
First question. Who was the first Knockouts champ?
I had abso-fucking-lutely no idea.
I didn't either, but ODB did. And it was Gail Kim.
That's right.
So she threw water into Zema's face.
He was infuriated. I felt for the man.
And I think this is why I hated it. Because I hated it before because of Ethan singing his song twice and everyone pretending it was funny when in fact it was humiliating to watch and painfully unfunny. Just 30 seconds of cringing to the point of agony. Both times.
Yeah, that part was bad.
So then she throws water in Zema's face. He begins to cry, oh, my hair. Oh, it's in my eyes. And I felt beyond zero sympathy for this man.
You weren't supposed to feel sympathy for him. He's a heel.
But it wasn't funny or entertaining. It was just stupid.
Go to the next question.
Second question. What is the name of the next TNA pay-per-view?
I knew this one. As did Zema Ion.
Yes.
And for some reason, I don't know why I thought it was so funny, but he answered and simultaneously threw water in her face. He was very confident.
The answer is Sacrifice.
That's right.
Third question.
This made the entire thing worthwhile.
I can see your point, I guess. But third question was, who was the last person to win the X title in an Ultimate X match? And Zema immediately said, Manic.
Yes.
And they said, no. And ODB said, Zema Ion. And that was correct.
I believe Jeremy Borash's exact words were, it was you, you idiot. He did not know that he himself was the last one who won this title in an Ultimate X match. I don't care if this was real or fake. I'd like to think it was real. I don't care.
It never occurred to me this would be fake. Why on earth would anyone know the last person to win the X title in an Ultimate X match? I'm proud to tell you I don't know the answer to that question.
The point is Zema Ion should have known because it was fucking himself.
I disagree. If I was a former X Division champion, I would try to do anything I could to hide that fact. I wouldn't want anyone to know.
I see. So yes, he
so
was...
even if it was the answer to the question was me, I would guess something else to try to throw them off the scent. I wouldn't want to be associated with it at all. So Zema Ion got wet. He lost 2-1. ODB beat him. So it was then going to be Spud versus Ethan. But Ethan explained, and perhaps he has your agent, but his contract guaranteed he could not get wet or something.
That's in my contract here for this show.
So he got Sanada to take his place instead. But then the gimmick was, and they were saying, oh, this isn't fair, he barely speaks English. But the gimmick was Ethan would tell Sanada what to say for every question.
Yes.
So the first TNA pay-per-view was in 2002. So Spud got wet.
He thought 2001.
Second question, who was the first TNA World Champion? And Spud said Ken Shamrock. And Boris said, no, that was the NWA.
It's true.
It's true. And Ethan told Sanada to say Kurt Angle.
I knew enough to know that the answer was not Ken Shamrock, but I did not know who the first TNA champion was.
I actually did.
You knew it was Kurt Angle?
I didn't know it was Kurt Angle.
Wow. Fuck, you'd have put water in my face right there.
Yeah. Showing the evolution from the Red Rooster to the Miz on the show.
I like how Miz is apparently mocking the fact that Terry Taylor is dressed like a chicken.
I believe he's actually saying I stole his haircut.
I see.
I'm pretty sure that's what he was saying.
I was going to say that Terry Taylor and Miz are following similar career paths.
Last question. Where was the first TNA event held? I did not know this. Thought I did. But the answer was Huntsville, Alabama.
That's true. That's true.
And so Spud got wet 3 times, and that was the end of the show.
Not a fan.
My notes here read, completely devoid of entertainment value.
Wow. There were 2 reasons there were 2 things I really liked about it. And one of them was not the singing by Ethan Carter III at the beginning of it. The 2 things I really liked were, number 1, the Zema Ion line where he didn't know that he was the last champion. I did think that was right. And, oh, by the way, Brian here wrote, the X title question isn't even right. Sabin won the Ultimate X and the title in October. I was there. About that. Anyway. I also, the other thing that I liked about it was, aside from the training videos on Impact, I became more of a fan of Sanada in this segment than anything else that they have done with this guy in all of Impact history. He's like the most totally likable, friendly guy that you just wanted so badly to see succeed. Between that and the training videos, they've actually done a very good job with Mr. Sanada. So I like that aspect of it. He came across as a very likable, friendly chap that you want to see succeed. And aside from those training vignettes, they've never done anything like this on Impact. So I did like that. And it was like 10 minutes. What could be worse?
Okay, I have looked this up now. Not only was Saban the last man to win an Ultimate X match for the title, the one before that was in fact Manic.
So
Zema Ion has done it, but since then it's been done by those two and Saban a second time.
So are you telling me I was worked?
I'm telling you, Borash is an idiot.
God damn it.
Somebody got their facts very, very badly wrong.
Maybe this was taped a long time ago.
It would have had to have been...
Maybe I watched them...
It would have had to have been between July 8th and October 14th of 2012.
Oh, God, Sanada wasn't there.
Oh.
Oh, man. Well, so much for that. All right, Impact.
All right. This was a really good show for about 1/2 to 3/4. And then, oh my God, the last half hour or so of this show. Angle cut a quick promo vowing to beat Spud tonight, and he was going to go after EC3. Magnus came out for a promo. He was carrying a turnbuckle. The turnbuckle was because he was calling out Abyss, and he was bringing, quote, Mr. Turnbuckle to defend himself.
Mr. Turnbuckle? Why was he doing that?
He only said it once, but that's what he said. So Abyss came out. Magnus blamed Abyss for not saving him in the title match against Eric Young. Didn't blame himself for losing. Blamed Abyss for not interfering. Abyss said, I cannot come out. MVP would have fired me. Magnus said, you don't work for MVP. You do not work for TNA. You work for me, and now you are fired. Solid point. So Abyss was so monstrous that he talked for a long time. Finally, he threatened Magnus. Magnus said, you are not a wrestler, you are a civilian. And if you attack me, I will press charges. So apparently, assault is legal so long as both parties are contracted wrestlers. Anyway, MVP came out and he offered Abyss a match against Magnus tonight. And if Abyss won, he would get his roster spot back. Because he believes in second chances.
I want to talk about the positives and the negatives of this segment. The only negative, really, is that how was Abyss unaware that he was not under contract to TNA?
That is a good question.
Now, what was good were Abyss's promos. This guy, I think that he is a great promo. I think he's an excellent promo. I thought that his delivery of everything here was great. I thought that he did an exceptional job in this segment. I am a giant fan of Abyss promos. So this was 2 thumbs up, despite his storyline idiocy.
Are there negatives?
I already said it. He didn't know he was under contract.
You did. You're right. I apologize.
I knew you'd never listen to me.
I know. Kurt Angle versus Rockstar Spud. You know what we need more of in this world? Kurt Angle squash matches.
That's for sure.
Beat the hell out of Spud. There was a brief moment of Spud offense.
Above and beyond gimmick battle royal?
That's part of the infamous gimmicks, yes, the gimmick battle royal. Spud got a little bit of offense after Ethan interfered, but Kurt killed him to death and finally won with the ankle lock. This was a lot of fun. Ethan then clipped Kurt's knee and attacked. There was a massive amount of piped-in booing for this segment. And then who should make the save but Willow in his bathrobe and with his umbrella. And he runs out to make the save, and then it was to the back. Because we had to see the beautiful people making jokes about Madison Rayne being ugly and offering her a makeover.
I gotta cut away here to talk about WWE here for a second. We're watching this thing here on the network, and if you watched Raw on Monday, they had the Shield cut a promo, and they gave who of all people the preponderance of the mic time?
I believe it was Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins. Now, when they formed the Shield, it was very clear that Roman Reigns was going to be the guy. Eventually, he was going to be the big star. And obviously, everybody was very high on Dean Ambrose, but Seth Rollins was the guy that everybody seemed to think, man, this guy, he's going to fall through the cracks when they break up. He's going to end up like, I don't know, Matt Hardy, whoever. I don't mean Matt Hardy like completely out of his mind, but just slotted in that position. But you know what? This guy, they give this guy a lot of mic time. They really feature this guy very strongly in that babyface role. And I cannot tell you how many of these WWE Network shows I've seen airing in the background. And who do they interview time after time after time? But Seth Rollins. So I think that they see this guy in a much, much different way than people think that the WWE sees this guy. I could be completely out of my mind, and like next year he could just be completely buried and in the same position as like The Miz. But I think that Seth Rollins is going to do all right for himself when this whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
He's awesome.
I have completely lost my place in my notes. Scrolling back up here. Oh,
Willow and his umbrella. And by the way, if TNA can get fans to buy umbrellas for $40, congratulations to them.
MVP met with Kenny King. He wanted a match. MVP said, fine, but I'm not going to name your opponent.
Kenny King's gimmick is that he's a geek.
That is correct.
They've been doing video packages for the guy week after week after week, and he's a geek.
Madison Rayne came out, called out the beautiful people. They made fun of her for being a mom.
What a plan she had, by the way.
Yeah, her plan was to attack both of them at the same time. This plan backfired since there was two of them. So they beat her up. And who came out to try to make the save but Brittany? And not the one who performs in Las Vegas. Brittany ran out. She hit a couple of punches or whatever. And then Angelina grabbed her feet. And Brittany responded by standing in place and waving her arms back and forth. If you've ever driven by a car dealership and seen the big inflatable man with his arms waving about, that is exactly what Brittany did here. So they clotheslined her and they threw her out of the ring. Hell of a save.
Yeah.
Hell of a save. And the
typical dumb baby face
beat up Madison and put a parking paper bag on her head. And then it was to the parking lot. They cut immediately to Mr. Anderson in the parking lot, taking a camera crew to Sam Shaw's childhood home. And as soon as he explains this, it was to the commercial break.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of stuff squeezed into a short time on this show. By the way, this is a good show. Remember that. To this point, it actually got much better. Gail, Madison, and Brittany had a meeting. My God, the acting here.
This was bottom of the barrel.
This was so horrendous.
Absolutely. You'd think that they... I remember about 8 years ago or whatever, when for a while I was doing all these student films, and a couple of them that I did, I don't even know why. Maybe because it was artsy, but they shot them on film. Now, I don't know if you know this, but film is not cheap. Film is very, very expensive. Now, if you just shoot the thing on, video, or even nowadays, you just put a chip in your camera or whatever, You can. Everyone now has when they take photographs, you put in one of those chips and you can get like 9,000 photos on it. That's not how it works with film. It's extremely expensive. You would think that this was shot on film, and they got one take, and that's all the film they had. And if they couldn't use it, they would have to buy thousands of dollars worth of film to retape this. I thought, maybe I'm wrong, that everything was shot on video nowadays, and if it sucked, you would just tape it again. Or, more horrifyingly, perhaps they did tape this 50 times.
And this was the best.
And this was the best one. I'm not sure which one it is, but I know that this one was horrible. And if I were in charge of filming it, I would say, hold on, everybody. Is this really that hard? Let's try this again.
Yeah.
Explain what the conversation entailed.
The gist of this was Gail said, Madison, we are not friends, but we have to take out the beautiful people, so we'll have to work together. Would you like to be our partner tonight? And Madison said, sure. Then Gail left. And then Brittany said, Madison, I would like to be in your corner. And Madison said, no, thank you. Please stay back here.
I really don't like this word, but there's no other word to describe Madison's behavior. She was a complete bitch. Madison had this idea of going down to the ring and calling out both of the beautiful people and then, like a complete idiot, attacking them. They proceeded 2-on-1 to kick her ass. As she is getting her ass handed to her, outruns Brittany to attempt to save her, and in the process, Brittany gets her ass kicked. So later, Brittany comes up and she's willing to go out again and help Madison, knowing full well she'll probably get her ass kicked again, but just out of the niceness of her heart, out of the kindness of her heart, she's going to go out there with Madison, and Madison rudely, in the bitchiest manner possible, essentially tells her to fuck off. Madison, everybody, is a babyface. This segment sucked.
I also like Lance Storm actually watched the show. And I believe it was this segment that caused him to tweet, so is Brittany's gimmick that she sucks? This is a serious question.
Lance,
I don't know if you ever got a reply.
The answer to your question is, it is the gimmick of at least a half dozen performers in TNA that they suck. Kenny King's gimmick is that he sucks. MVP's gimmick is that he's a shitty whatever he is.
True.
Dixie's gimmick was that she was a shitty owner. Who else do we have? Who else's gimmick is that they're shitty?
The Bromans are shitty tag champions.
Magnus's gimmick is that
Magnus was a shitty champion.
The shittiest champion of all time, a paper champion.
Ethan is a shitty wrestler who needs help to win.
That's right.
Yep.
Ethan was a shitty wrestler who Dixie gave all his wins to. So yes, the list goes on and on of people whose gimmick is that they are shitty.
Kenny King versus a mystery opponent. Mystery opponent was Bobby Lashley. I may be wrong on this, but he looks bigger than ever to me.
Dave said the same thing, but I think you guys need to just go back because
if I went back,
the exact same size and maybe smaller.
Yeah, he's been very, very large before.
He's smaller than he was in MMA, but pro wrestling-wise, he's the same size.
So the first part of this, it was just a squash match. Let's take our geek. We have our big, giant, scary athlete guy. We'll show off the athlete guy's power. We will show off the athlete guy's agility. This is all a great plan. He threw King around. He was doing leapfrogs and busting out moves. He looked like the scariest dude on earth here. And then someone decided, now it's time for Kenny King to have offense. Why?
Well, to be fair, Kenny King was gone for a long time. They built up his return really big. Granted, they made him a geek who nobody would book, but he finally gets on television. He should have just got a guy that he could beat. But for some reason, they decided to put him in with Lashley. They have a match, which actually, in the ring, this was fun. But then he just walked out. That was his big return, a count-out loss, and apparently this feud must continue.
Yeah, you jumped ahead there, but King tried to dive. Lashley caught him in a vertical suplex position.
This was awesome.
He is a freak.
He did he didn't do a moonsault, but he did, I guess he was going to try like a blockbuster off the top rope. And he leaped in the air, and Lashley caught him in mid-move in suplex position, held him up for like 10 seconds, and then suplexed him. That was amazing.
Yeah. And then, yes, he went for the spear, but King bailed and took a count-out loss. Because Lord knows we have to protect Kenny King. Lashley looked great here, everyone.
You know what's funny when you say that, Vinny?
Mm-hmm.
Is that I'm sure in their brains they do have to protect Kenny King because he is making his big return to the company in a pushed position. But you have the reaction you do because his big return, they have portrayed him as a geek.
Not only that.
He shows up at the building begging for a match and they won't give him one.
Yeah.
Is there any better way to make a guy a dork?
It's not, is that, and I guess you can't say this was Lashley's return, but it was very clear of these two men which one should have been showcased.
Well, that's true.
It was very clear of these two men which one should have, I believe the term is, gone over. Instead, they tried to get both of them over, and as always, that never works. Mr. Anderson arrived at the Shaw household. A woman answered the door, and my first thought was, that is SoCal Val's mother. And
May have been.
Perhaps it may have been.
I don't know.
But she was playing Sam Shaw's mother. She was an attractive redhead MILF. And she identified herself as Sam's mom, and Anderson called her Mrs. Shaw. And Mrs. Shaw said, come inside and please, call me by my name, Christy.
I hate the Sam Shaw storyline, gimmick, and character. However, this was awesome.
She said this.
The storyline, his mother is a redhead with large breasts named Christy. I died. They finally found a way to actually make the guy creepy.
Yes, and she went inside, and Anderson looked into the camera in complete disbelief. And yes, this was both funny and awesome. This whole somebody sent me a tweet. I can't wait to see what you say about this Sam Shaw thing. This is like the best stuff they've done with Sam Shaw yet.
Yes.
By far.
This was a winner.
Beer Money had a meeting, talked about all the horrible things they had done to each other, and agreed to put that aside in the name of doing horrible things to Gunner and Bully Ray.
This was where the show completely turned around. The Sam Shaw thing was great. As for wrestling, the Lashley match was great. Yeah.
The booking sucked. The Sam Shaw thing was great. And then MVP wrestled Austin Aries.
Well, forget that. Go back to Beer Money.
All right.
Here's two guys who have done every diabolical thing possible to each other. However, the very idea that together they can do diabolical things to others has made them buddies again.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Great. I don't need to see two fuckers that don't like each other teaming up for the 9 millionth time.
For no reason.
Here's two heels that have done every bad thing possible to each other, but they like the idea that they can do devastation together more than they dislike each other. Great.
That is correct.
A winner.
Then Austin Aries wrestled MVP.
Fun match.
I don't know what the size difference is here. It might be 60 pounds, might be 80 pounds, might be even more. But if you just watched them wrestle and didn't think about the size difference, you wouldn't have even noticed it at all. They worked together great. It was totally believable. Fun match. And finally, Aries missed a 450, and MVP hit a Shining Wizard kind of thing for the win. This ruled.
You know, I don't know if anything is up with Austin Aries. But he did do a clean job here. I know that there was something that happened with him backstage for a while, which they kind of brought out on television, but it also played in a storyline last week. But I do know that Aries is working an iPay-per-view this weekend. And TNA Talent, to the best of my knowledge, is not allowed to work iPay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniels and Kazarian, I believe, are gone. Daniels, I know, is for sure. So I don't know what's up with Aries. I asked somebody in the company, and they had not heard anything. And apparently he's booked for house shows. So it could be much ado about nothing. Maybe TNA is unaware he's working the iPay-per. I don't know. But something could be up here, so we'll just have to keep our eye on it.
We had a Sanada training video.
Awesome.
He was doing bicep curls and sit-ups, checking out his abs in the mirror. And the whole time he was doing a voiceover in Japanese, which had English subtitles, saying he would not rest until he had lived up to the honor of the Great Muta and Japanese wrestling. Excellent. Excellent.
I loved it. I realize that he is the X Division champion, but I kind of wish they would do even more with this guy because, again, he's so likable on Spin Cycle. He's been so likable on these two training videos. Just a completely likable, a great babyface. Maybe nobody cares in 2014. I care. And all I care about when I watch Impact is what I care about.
That's right.
And I really care about Sanada. Just nice guy, hard worker. He's a good worker. I really like this Sanada fella. 2 thumbs up for this segment.
Splash Mountain here asks on Twitter, they can't get people to pay $30 for a pay-per-view. Why would they pay $40 for an umbrella? I would much rather have an umbrella than watch the TNA pay-per-view.
I can answer this. They can get people to buy their pay-per-view. Not a lot of them. But they can get 8,000 people to buy their pay-per-view. Now, the pay-per-view is $34.95. And they're probably only making $17 of that. Now, if they can get 6,000 people, 6,000 crazy people, to buy a Willow umbrella, my guess is that their profit margin on a Willow umbrella that they're selling for $40 is probably more than $17. So they'd probably be doing significantly better attacking their same pay-per-view audience with this Willow umbrella. They could actually make a lot of money.
There you go, then.
They're selling umbrellas for $40. I can get an umbrella down at Rite Aid for like $3.99.
I was going to say less than $5 for sure. Mr. Anderson was enjoying some iced tea with Miss Christy Shaw. She asked what he was doing there, and it was a lie, but he had a great reason to be there. I work with your son. We're doing video profiles on talented people. Great! That's why he's there with a camera crew in her house. Made total sense.
Very good.
So she talked about how talented her son was. He can sing, he can play piano, and that's why every day I make him an apple pie. And Anderson was taken aback, and he said, you make him an apple pie every day. She said, every day, and I take it right to his bedroom. And Anderson asked, where is his bedroom? She said, in the basement, of course. Anderson was expecting that, and he asked if he could go see the room. Beer Money wrestled Gunner and Bully Ray. The whole match was Beer Money getting the heat on Bully Ray. This is 3 of the best tag team wrestlers of the past decade or so. It'd be very, very hard for this to have not been good. And it was, in fact, good.
Great match. Great finish.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
The babyfaces made the big comeback. They did all the Dudley Boy spots. They got at a table. But then when Bully Ray tried to put Bobby Roode through it, Roode dodged, and Bully Ray went through the table. That left Gunner outnumbered. He fought valiantly for a while, but was finally caught by a super kick and pinned. So let's examine this. Bully Ray and Bobby Roode are having a tables match. The whole build has been Roode putting Ray through tables over and over and over again. And here, once again, Ray was the one who went through the table and Roode escaped. So Bully Ray is going for his revenge in the tables match at the pay-per-view.
The only negative I will say, Vinny, is that I guess it doesn't matter that much because you don't remember, but this feud started with Bully Ray putting Bobby Roode through a table.
Was that a lockdown when he first turned? Or
I believe it was the first television after lockdown, if I recall correctly.
I see.
Which still boggles my mind to this day, that was how you kicked this feud off, with the babyface putting the heel through a table. And then you tried to build to the heel getting revenge by putting the guy through the table that he'd already put through the table. But since you forgot, I will give them a pass.
I will. Maybe if I watched it all again, I would change my mind on this. But they've done enough time with it, and it has been long enough that you could argue, okay, the feud begins, Ray puts Roode through a table. Now Roode is pissed. And so he must put Ray through tables over and over and over again. So that gave Roode a reason to want to put Ray through tables repeatedly.
Sure. I would still prefer that he had never been put through a table.
Point is, they are having a tables match, and this is good build for that.
Yes,
now,
that I will agree with.
On top of that, James Storm and Gunner are having an I Quit match at the pay-per-view. Now, you can't make someone quit with a super kick, but still, the heel got the win here. You still want to see the babyface get his revenge at the pay-per-view.
Yes.
This was great.
2 thumbs up.
And here, I shouldn't have jinxed them, but I wrote, this is the best Impact in months.
Well, everybody,
things change.
If you've got this on your DVR, fast forward to the Gale promo backstage just for a laugh. And then watch Lashley and Kenny King and Beer Money backstage, Sam Shaw and his mom, MVP and Aries, the Sanada video, and Bully Gun and Beer Money. I made that name up.
It's a good name.
And you will enjoy Impact. Now, make sure that you shut Impact off after that finish, because it's all downhill from there.
Mostly.
With one exception.
I didn't hate the payoff to the Anderson angle. Anderson went into Shaw's bedroom, and they did a commercial tease and came back, and his bedroom was just every 8-year-old boy's bedroom. Bunk bed, Sam's room in big colorful letters on the wall. At this point, Shaw arrived. He screamed, "What are you doing in my bedroom?" He flipped out. He attacked Anderson. The cameraman ran for his life upstairs. Christy Shaw was laughing about all this, asking what these boys were up to. She had her pie ready. Cameraman was wigged out. A bloody Sam Shaw emerged from the basement. He knelt next to his mother. He laid his head on her bosom. The cameraman was terrified, and he ran for his life. It was goofy, but it was something. And as you noted, this is the first time the Sam Shaw character has actually been creepy.
Yes.
Otherwise, he's always just been phony.
Yes. This was good.
And then, yes, after that, a black hole of suck exploded all over my television. Your television. Maybe mine too. Beautiful people wrestled Gail Kim and Madison Rayne.
Oh my God.
As you noted, Velvet Sky has been wrestling professionally for more than a decade.
11 years. Inconceivable.
I would bet money that at least half the people listening to my voice right now could take better bumps and run the ropes better than she did in the first 30 seconds of this match.
80%.
So bad. Such awful wrestling.
My notes read, and I quote, "God-awful and heatless proof of absence of God."
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier there's another match that had obvious piped-in booing. This time they didn't even bother. This match was just presented in its own natural silent state. It was horrible. Madison got a hat tag to zero reaction. And finally, Angelina pinned Madison with a schoolgirl holding the skirt. And I wrote, in all caps, this was an atrocious pro wrestling match.
It was quite terrible. Part of the problem is that the previous 40 minutes or so had been great. And we had just seen an awesome tag team match with Bully Ray, Gunner, and Beer Money. And it was followed with this awful, horrendous, terrible wrestling match.
The Knux soap opera continued. He was hanging out with his buddies, watching a girl do a dance with fire.
I have no idea.
I
realize I missed one show in New Orleans, but is this his sister, his girl? I presume it must be his girlfriend.
They were...
Right?
If that's his sister, then we would have two creepy family couples in about 20 minutes in the show.
Well, she kept talking about dad. Was she talking about your dad?
Well, not mine, I don't think.
Not your dad, you idiot.
Yeah.
Was she saying your dad, like Knux your dad? Or was she saying dad like our dad?
I don't know.
She's sitting on his lap, so it can't possibly be a sister. Unless the bunk bed in Sam Shaw's bedroom is for Knux.
Maybe Knux and Shaw are brothers.
Hadn't thought of that.
So, eventually, they were hugging and talking about how much they missed each other. But then Knux had to tell her he can't stay. Then he said the following words with a straight face. I have to follow my heart. I have to go back to Impact Wrestling.
Yep.
I laughed so hard. Knux, I'm here to tell you, your heart sucks.
Oh, Vinny.
Do not follow your heart.
Come on, Vinny.
It's lying to you.
I liked how when he's doing all this, the girl goes, I'm going to go with you.
Yeah, that was her reply.
And Knux is kind of like, oh, you leave us all behind? Great. Like, man. A selfish prick. Just moved on like, finally, woman. Let's go.
Abyss got a backstage promo. He was about to call Magnus an arrogant son of a bitch, but at the last moment he stopped and the monster censored himself.
Well, he's a very sensitive man. He's Joe Park.
And he talked about how people had tried to help him and he had hurt them and he had hurt people close to him and he was sorry.
I did, again.
I guess that means Eric.
I have no idea what he was talking about. I figured it had to be Eric, but I don't know. But I did think that this was a again, very good promo by Mr. Abyss.
He had a very goofy American Wolves promo. Here's my theory on what happened here. They had the Wolves cut a promo on the bromance and Zema Ion. And I did get the gist of their message. It's that it's a 2-on-3 handicap match for the titles at the pay-per-view. Wolves promos are average. So it seemed like,
being generous,
to spice it up, they hired a couple of junior college video editing students and said, do everything you learned how to do to this promo. So there's goofy music playing, or wacky video effects, or actual wolves edited in. It was going forward and rewinding, just every trick they could do to try and distract you. Magnus versus Abyss in the main event.
You didn't mention Wolf Nation.
Did they mention Wolf Nation?
That's their crew, the Wolf Nation.
I just like that in their promos they're wearing buttoned-up shirts and ties, but their ring gear is fur.
I'm just wondering why their explanation. They said they came to TNA for two reasons: one, to get Dixie out of power, and two, to win the tag titles. Why did you come to TNA to get Dixie out of power?
Because she sucks. Maybe they're wrestling fans and they were tired of her doing a crappy show.
Is that the storyline? Like, Impact is so fucking awful that the Wolves, who are not in the company, decided they needed to come to the company to get rid of Dixie.
Yes.
That's a bad storyline. And furthermore, let's just say, and by the way, I should add, there are two reasons for coming here: to get Dixie out of power and to win the tag titles. They've already done both. So why are you still here?
I don't know.
They have already won the tag titles, which, by the way, they quickly lost. Probably win them again Sunday. And Dixie's out of power, so what are you doing here, buddies?
So the main event is Magnus versus Abyss. Eric Young was doing commentary badly. It just didn't have much to say, and the match only went like 3 minutes, and Magnus hit a low blow. And Eric Young said this with his exact enthusiasm. Oh, man. Low blow. That's a DQ.
Yep.
Thank you, Eric Young, for your expert analysis.
Yeah.
I guess this means Abyss has his job back. He did technically win.
I guess so.
Magnus grabbed a chair, started smashing him in the leg. Eric Young ran down trying to make the save, but he ended up getting beat up with a chair too. And so, like I say, last...
You know what? If you're going to do a DQ finish, why didn't MVP just rehire him in the opening segment and sign this match? Why would you put a big-time stipulation like, if Abyss wins, he gets his job back, and then you give us a 3-minute match with a DQ finish?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. So, they run down... Actually, they didn't even run down the card. They just said, it's Young and Magnus for the title at Sacrifice in 3 days. And then they closed the show with a promo. Was it a promo for the pay-per-view? No. It was a promo for next week's episode of Impact. And the selling point of this promo, and hand on a Bible, I am not making this up. The selling point of this promo is, if you watch next week's show, there is no need to watch the pay-per-view. We'll tell you what happened on Impact. So don't bother. And then it ended.
Yeah. Their go-home segment, their go-home moment on the show was tune in next week to find out what happened at the pay-per-view. Can't make it up.
So, yeah, I watched the show. It's not a good pay-per-view. I certainly don't recommend you go out and buy this. Do not get the replay. By no means should you get the replay of this. But for 3 hours, the only time I really, honestly, truly felt like stupid or insulted or ripped off was the finish to the Bully Ray Bobby Roode match. But we'll get into that. Opener was the Bromans and Zema Ion against the Wolves in a handicap match for the tag titles. Wolves cut a promo before the match. Wolves cut more promos in 3 months in TNA than they did in years in Ring of Honor.
Hold on a second. You saw the promo they did before the match?
Yeah. Okay, I don't know exactly what happened. Bryan was not here when I started watching.
Well, you tell me what happened, then I'll tell you what happened on my end.
All right. So I hit play on went to the DVR, loaded up the TNA pay-per-view, hit play, and like the match was going on. It was the Bromans against the Wolves, and I knew that, but I didn't know if this was the opener. I didn't know if this was halfway through. I didn't know if it was a semi-main. I had no idea when this was on the show. So I thought, well, I looked down. I saw you had it's like almost a 5-hour block of thing. So I fast-forwarded.
Okay.
And this match I watched on the replay. So I only missed apparently like 5 minutes.
What happened was I went down to watch it. I went down at 4 o'clock during the hourly break for Observer Live, and I ordered it, and I hit record. Went back upstairs. I come down at 5 o'clock, it's not on. So, whose phone was that? Craig. There's a switch on the side. Just mute it. So I went down at 5, it's not playing or recording. So I tried to order it again, and now it tells me you don't have enough credits.
Ah, that's always fun.
And I was like, I ain't calling the cable company. I just won't watch this show. I'm not going through the rigmarole of trying to call these fuckers. It'll be 10 times worse than watching the show if I have to call them. So it was on the HD pay-per-view channel. And so I was like, well, I'll try ordering it on the other channel because it'll be cheaper anyway. I'll just watch it in standard. So I switched to the other channel, and I hit the buy button, and it lets me buy it for $44.95.
In standard def.
Yeah. Same price, but I had to watch it in standard definition.
Oh, TNA.
So I was 10 minutes late, and I missed the first 10 minutes of the show. So that's what happened on my end.
All right. Well, you missed 10 minutes of nothing. So the point of this promo was they had a letter from MVP making this a no DQ match. And this made the champions angry. I thought, why are you angry? You outnumber them 3-2, now you won't even have to make tags. Oh, what a fool I was. Because you see, for about 3 or 4 minutes, the Wolves ran wild with 1,000 dives and double teams. It was great. And then, here in this no DQ match, both teams decided to take it upon themselves to obey the rules and tag in and out.
Awesome.
That annoyed me. Especially when they did this spot, and it's actually a great spot in most matches, but Davey was on the apron reaching for the hot tag, and one of them went over to pick a fight with him, and he got his ass kicked. But in the process of kicking this guy's ass, Davey was not there when Eddie was in the corner. And then Davey jumps up in the corner. By that time, they've yanked Eddie away. And I thought, just get in the ring. It's no DQ. So he obeyed the rules and eventually got the hot tag and ran wild. The heels used a laptop. No DQ, why not? So eventually they used a laptop to get the heat. And then when they tried it again at the finish, they backfired and they hit each other. And finally, the Wolves hit 1,000 moves, followed up with a series of foot stomps for the win and the titles. And Davey tried to work up some fake tears. It was a good effort. And the layout of this match was completely illogical.
I'd have lost a lot of respect for him if they'd cried after winning these belts.
maybe they cried tears of shame. Oh, God, we're TNA Tag Champs. The completely illogical match. The action was pretty fun.
A good little opener.
Yeah. Borash did a backstage interview with an ambulance and Sam Shaw. This was the padded wagon. Basically, it was an ambulance match with the idea that the person who lost the ambulance match would then be driven to the psych ward and thrown into the loony bin. And Shaw cut a promo saying he was not a creepy bastard. He dedicated the match to his mother, who he called Christy.
The loony bin, they said repeatedly. That's nice.
Yeah. So it was Sam Shaw versus Mr. Anderson in an ambulance match. The theme of the show was that guys brawled on the floor forever. Happened in every match. Happened here. So Shaw catches Anderson on the floor, of course, in his standing side choke. And he puts him out. But now you've got an unconscious Mr. Anderson, 200 plus pounds of dead weight, and like 100 yards away from the ambulance.
I couldn't figure out why they didn't immediately just say, let's walk backstage and fight by the ambulance. Why?
That's a good
if
question,
you have to put the guy in the ambulance,
it's going to be hard for
why did you
either
start
way.
wrestling in the ring?
I don't know.
Just because it's padded? The ambulance is padded.
So Shaw, I thought he would go get like a shopping cart or something, or a wheelbarrow. Instead, he would get into stalk Christy. And then I thought maybe he's going to ask her for help. Like, I'll get his arms, you get his feet, and we'll carry him back there. So instead, he just started harassing her and freaking her out, and it's TNA, so of course nobody helped her. And then she slapped him and ran away. And somehow in all of this, Anderson revived and made his comeback. And then the next, 3 or 4 minutes was just Anderson doing moves to Shaw, including a rolling fireman's carry on the top of the stage. Ow. Do not do this. Hit him with a chair, hit him with a guardrail, went backstage, did some comedy where they pretended to interview him with Borash. He found the cart that I thought Shaw would be looking for earlier. He put him on this cart and said, and I quote, "Dirt, dirt, 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 dirt." Pushed him around a while. Then he tried to, Christy showed up, she slapped Shaw, and then the idea was Anderson would hit a mic check, and the mic check would throw him into the ambulance. Think about this for a minute. You realize there's no way this is going to possibly work. So what they did was Anderson grabbed him for the move, and then essentially took a flat back bump on the concrete, and Shaw ended up leaning against the ambulance. This hurt Anderson so much more than it hurt Shaw, and you could tell because he got up moaning and grabbing his back. And he threw him in the ambulance and shut the doors, and he won, and Christy thanked him.
Does he realize he didn't have to take the bump when he did that move? He could have just lurched and sent the guy face first into the...
He didn't even... when he dropped, he disappeared from camera entirely. No one saw this bump. He just heard it, and then he was in pain.
Emerson here says, without a legal order, does Shaw realize he can just sign himself out of the loony bin as an adult? Dude, you don't get it, Emerson. I'm sure the contract was a legal order where each man agreed, if I lose this match, I will be involuntarily committed. Hate wrestling.
Yeah. Well, it is Florida. Everything's more believable down there. So, it was more of an angle than a match. It really wasn't terrible. It wasn't particularly good. EC3 and Spud cut a promo backstage, and they agreed that their goal for the evening was that Ethan would beat Kurt.
Great goal.
So it was...
It's like a mission statement.
Hey, you know what? It was clear, and I understood it.
Yeah, and you'll know if you achieve it.
Yes, and that's not common in wrestling anymore. I often have no idea why guys are fighting.
I still had no idea why these guys were fighting.
Ethan and Spud fought Kurt Angle and Willow. Well, you're right. But at least I know what Ethan and Spud wanted out of it.
To win.
No, they wanted Ethan to beat Kurt.
I see.
They didn't want either one of them to beat Willow, and they did not want Spud to beat Kurt. Their goal was for Ethan to get a win over Kurt Angle. They failed. So they did a lot of comedy. They did a lot of stalling. Jeff Hardy is doing Willow to make himself laugh. It's abundantly clear. He dive from the top rope to the floor with his umbrella. And I heard about this before I watched it, and I assumed like the umbrella was like folded up in front of them and he sort of hit them with it. No. The umbrella was open and over his head.
He was flying.
He was parachuting down with his umbrella. He said this, or he hit this move. Taz said, "This is wacky." He compared it to Mary Poppins. The fans chanted for Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is one of the biggest stars in TNA right now.
Maybe that's the big angle. Oh, wait, we already know what it is.
Willow
Maybe it's Eric Young's opponent. Dixie promised a giant blockbuster opponent for Eric Young. Mary Poppins.
So earlier, I mentioned how the American Wolves were obeying the rules in a no DQ match and not, they were tagging in and out. Here in this match, where as far as I know there were DQs, Angle just walked in and started suplexing people.
Yeah.
And no one cared. Willow hit all of Jeff Hardy's spots, and then they hit a Spud with a twist of fate, an Angle slam, and a senton, and they pinned him. This was essentially a long squash.
This was a television match that I paid $44.95 for.
Craig, have you heard anything yet that you're sad you missed?
No.
Okay. Eric Young cut a backstage promo, said he was doing this for everyone who'd heard the words, "No, you're not good enough," and he vowed to retain his title.
Can I ask you a serious question, Vinny?
Yeah.
Has anyone ever told you, "No, Vinny, you're not good enough"?
Many, many times.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
You, for starters.
And what the fuck are you talking about?
No.
What are you talking about?
That's not true. That's not true.
Name someone in your life that's had more faith in you than me, and don't mention your wife. There aren't many.
Well, it usually goes like this. I would like a job. No, you're not good enough. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Believe me, I've been through that. More than once.
Craig's howling for some reason.
All right. Let's stop burying each other and start burying TNA. Knux and his sister and or girlfriend were in a truck driving around. This was on pay-per-view.
Is this stupid or what?
I forget what I was talking about. Tyson Kidd on Total Divas, and I said he's the worst actor on earth, and you said wait till you see this TNA show, this particular segment. And I'm here to tell you, Brian, before Craig in the world, you were right.
Oh yeah.
This acting was worse than Tyson Kidd. So she said it'll be just the two of us. He said, well, the four of us. I'm getting Crazy Steve and Freak.
Freak?
I think she said Freak.
I think it's Freak Show, isn't it?
I heard Freak.
Freak?
Yeah.
I know it's Crazy Steve.
Because Rebel explained, she said her name was Rebel, by the way, I figured that out. She said Crazy Steve is crazy. She added, Freak is a freak. I'm not making any of this up.
This dialogue was written down.
Now, here's the thing.
On paper somewhere.
Here's the thing. No matter how bad you think this dialogue is, I assure you the delivery was worse.
I promise you.
This is an amazingly bad segment. This is one for the ages. And I still have no idea what's going on. It's been a month or more.
I filled in the blanks that their family owns a carnival, I think.
Okay.
It may be an arcade. Or maybe it's a carnival with an arcade. But regardless, shit's going down. And so Knux is going back to TNA so that he can earn money or something to put the carnival back in order. Which begs the question, why are you going to TNA? And he's brought this girl with him, and he double-crossed her. He didn't tell her until she was in the car that he was also bringing along Crazy Steve and Slackjaw. Did I miss anything?
I don't know. I don't know who's filming it or why they're sending the film to TNA. All right.
They should have said there's a third person. They're filming. And there's going to be
me and the cameraman.
Two more.
This begs the question why they didn't film the vignette of the girl telling her father, "Dad, I'm running off to join the circus."
She's running off to not join the circus.
She's running away from the circus.
Oh, my bad.
Sanada versus Tigre Uno for the X title. Fans did not care about either guy, which baffled me. How you can not care about Sanada after seeing these training
That's
videos?
impossible.
I don't understand.
It's impossible.
But it's true. So they did a bunch of lucha. Crowd didn't care for either guy. Biggest star of the match was Austin Aries, who was not in the match, but they cheered for him, chanted for him. Tigre hit a dive where his head hit the ground and his knee hit Sanada in the head. So this is bad. And finally, Tigre missed a 450, and Sanada hit a moonsault, and he won. Sloppy lucha libre in front of indifferent fans.
I kind of liked it, but that's just me.
It's fine. I'm certainly not going to argue. Borash interviewed James Storm. Storm said he had made Gunner a star, and tonight he was going to break a star. So it was James Storm and Gunner versus an I Quit match. This is something else. I will cut to the chase. These dudes had a blood and guts, Passion of the Christ,
empty arena match.
Basically, they had a violent, hardcore, frankly sickening match, and that was their goal, by the way. That's what they set out to do. But they did it in front of a crowd that is used to slapstick comedy like the Bromans and Ethan Carter III. And those fans had no idea what to make out of any of this. I think I would have enjoyed this a lot more with the volume down and just pretended I could hear cheering. The story is they had a fight. It was, as noted, blood and guts. They hit each other with weapons a lot. They traded about 4 dozen unprotected trash can lid shots to the head in the center of the ring in 2014. They used guardrails. They used chairs. They used belts. They were bleeding. They used a glass bottle. James Storm broke a glass bottle over Gunner's head, and the fans chanted for one more bottle.
And then nobody bothered to get the glass out of the ring, so they're bumping around in fucking broken glass.
That also happened. These guys paid a high physical toll for this match. So in the end, Gunner hit a superplex through or onto a guardrail that was suspended on top of chairs. And then he picked up one of the shards of glass in the bottle, and he dug it in Storm's eye, and Storm finally quit. They went all Magnum Tully on the finish there. It was a really, really good match in front of the exact wrong group of people.
That's about it.
All right.
These guys worked their ass off.
They went through a lot of damage.
I don't like glass. I don't like shots to the head. But I do admire these two men for caring so much. You know?
Mm-hmm.
God damn, do they love pro wrestling.
They have pride.
They got a great deal of pride, and more power to them. I have nothing bad to say about virtually any professional wrestler working in TNA.
Velvet.
The show itself is horrendous. The booking is atrocious. But the wrestlers all deserve a great deal of credit. Because goddamn, they just don't give up.
Borash interviewed the beautiful people. They vowed to win the title and give the whole division a makeover. Angelina Love versus Madison Rayne. The crowd did not want to see the hardcore match, and they sure as hell didn't want to see this either. No reaction to anything they did.
I'm sure they're nice girls. Take back everything I just said. No, I'm kidding. This is terrible.
TNA used a move called the Raindrop. Or excuse me, Rayne used a move called the Raindrop, and TNA called it that. And he said, "We have seen that move many times before." I watch a lot of TNA. A lot more than I'd like to. I don't recall ever hearing Madison Rayne use the Raindrop before.
Probably Explosion. Every time something happens on national television that I can't explain, somebody has to chime in that it happened on Explosion.
I see.
I don't even know where Explosion is. I'd have to go to another country to watch Explosion.
So, Madison hit a spear, but Velvet distracted the ref with her ass.
And of course, she's facing the hard camera. I mean, come on!
So we
Go on the other side of the ring.
did not get to see what was distracting the ref.
Yes.
And then she sprayed hairspray in Madison's eyes, and Angelina hit a roll-up and won. A very boring match.
You know, I know you're a big fan of power ballads, Vinny.
Oh, yeah. Well, so is Craig.
Come on. Why does Madison Rayne have an 80s love ballad as her theme song?
That's actually a great question, honestly.
Why is she a killer queen?
That's a great question. Especially now that I think we're supposed to be cheering for her. As the lyrics scream, she'll break your heart, tear it apart just to watch you scream.
I hate this song.
That does not make me like her.
I hate
That makes her sound
this
mean.
song.
It's not even a good 80s power ballad.
No. If she was like a blonde and she had like tight blue jeans that were pulled up to her belly button and like her hair was all
Big.
and she came out of this music, I'd be like, all right, fine. But she's not. I don't know what she is. She's a mom now.
Yeah, she's a bikini model
What's with
mother.
the power ballad?
It's not a power ballad. It's a very, very, very bad Cure knockoff.
I'm not even sure she was born in the 80s.
It may not have been.
She's got to be younger than me, right?
Oh, God, yes.
Madison Rayne. She's 28.
Yes.
She was born in 86.
Anyway. Poor Ash interviewed Bully Ray backstage. I was so motivated that my entire summary just reads, he said he would win.
It's a good promo.
I'm sure it was.
But he did say that he would win. That is correct.
So he fought Bobby Roode in a tables match. For about the 47th time, I spent most of the match watching two guys brawl on the floor. Then I also noted that Bobby Roode took a huge backdrop early, and I realized that was like the second or third time someone had taken a huge backdrop early. Are there no agents in TNA? So they set up a table in the corner. They did a lot of creative ways to tease going through it and not, obviously not deliver. Things are going along okay. And Ray kept going for a power bomb, and Roode kept getting out of it. And then Ray went for one, and they did a ref bump.
This poor company. This was a moment where I actually was like, dear God. I mean, come on. Can anything go right for these poor people?
The answer is no. The idea was that as Bully Ray tried this power bomb, Bobby Roode's feet would fly up in the air and kick the ref in the head. What actually happened was Bully Ray tried this power bomb, and Bobby Roode's feet came closer to my head than to the ref's.
You've got one spot that you've got to remember. One. You've got to get kicked when the guy gets lifted for the power bomb. One spot. And he was not paying attention. He was looking at the table. He forgot what he was supposed to do. His one spot. He missed 100% of his spots in this match.
That's true. So his response was to shake his head back and forth and fall down as if he'd had, a stroke or something. And the funniest part was that after taking the worst ref bump of all time, he laid in the corner for a good 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
He was down forever.
With no help.
On this non-contact spot.
If this were real, and you saw this, you would presume he had a heart attack and or brain aneurysm, right?
Yes.
Because he just all of a sudden started shaking and fell down.
Fell down, collapsed, and didn't move.
Send someone out.
Sitting at home, I couldn't even tell if he was breathing.
Nope, they didn't send nobody out.
So, of course, with the ref down, Ray put him through the table, but no ref. And Lord knows, can't have anyone else in the company say, yes, that dude is through a table and thus he has lost. Only the official can determine if a man has gone through a table.
How about you send out another official to ring the fucking bell and then check on the first official?
So they did.
Craig's laughing because I just retweeted the phantom ref bump. He's dying.
Yeah. This is
the first time you've seen it?
Yeah.
It's actually, for the poor timing award, because I was bored of the match, I had just gone to the GIFs thread at seriously 2 minutes before this actually happened. So I was prepared. Oh, God, look at it.
This is the best thing I've seen.
Oh, wow, there's a drag to zoom. I can make it even bigger.
How does that work? Oh, there you go. Oh, wow. Jesus, you get huge.
That's awesome.
The name of the file is Deadly Finished Boar. Anyway. So, they brought out 7,000 more tables, and they just kept wrestling and wrestling and wrestling and wrestling and wrestling. And Ray set up 2 tables on the floor, and he went to the top rope. And then, now keep in mind, his goal was to jump off the top rope onto Bobby Roode through the tables. So he goes to the top rope, but then a cameraman jumps off and shoves him off in the direction he wanted to go, through the tables he wanted to go through. But Roode moved out of the way. So really, this person was trying to help Ray. At least he came closer to hitting Roode than he would have been on his own. So the cameraman pulled off his horrible fake beard and glasses, and it was Dixie Carter. Fans knew it. We're chanting Dixie sucks. She took off her fake beard. She rubbed it in Ray's face. At the end of all this, they played Dixie's music.
Yes. She's back.
Was she gone?
She was gone.
It's like 2 weeks.
For a show here or there, you know.
Just god-awful. Magnus got a promo backstage. Said Eric Young was a liar, a phony champion, and a joke, and he vowed to win. And then it was Eric Young and Magnus. They did play a very cool Eric Young video that made it clear that through all the past decade of god-awful gimmicks and horrible comedy, he always was a really talented guy. And when he actually had a chance to win the championship, he delivered. The only negative, this did nothing to change the idea that he is a complete Daniel Bryan ripoff.
Yeah.
It was the exact same story. Just longer. So after 3 hours of guys brawling on the floor nonstop, I got long headlock spots. What happened to wrestling? Now, it did have more sustained heat than anything else in the show. So
yeah, they had
fine.
a straight wrestling match that people got into.
Yeah, I know. Weird, huh?
Well, because Eric Young is a great professional wrestler.
It's really goddamn good. It was a little slow going in the beginning, but they were into it at the end, and that is, in fact, the idea. I did laugh at one point. Eric Young tried a sharpshooter and botched it to a terrible degree.
He put the wrong leg through.
Dude, you're Canadian. How can you not know how to do a sharpshooter? So, there's also a spot where Magnus grabbed a crowbar, and the ref just took it away, and then they just kept wrestling.
You step through and you cross over, Craig. He didn't cross over. He stepped through and put his foot on the other side. Then he tried to turn him over.
Craig, you're thinking way too hard about this.
Yeah,
he put on a shitty sharpshooter. Don't worry about it. So, Eric finally hit his pile driver. Magnus kicked out. And they both took turns trying pile drivers. And finally, Eric hit another one. And then rather than just rely on that to get the win, he also hit a top rope elbow for good measure and won the match. And I will take Eric Young as champion, winning good matches with clean finishes. That's a vast improvement over Magnus having mediocre matches with crappy finishes.
Oh, yeah.
It's a giant upgrade in Eric Young.
The state of the TNA title, it makes no difference who's it's on. So I'd much rather have it on a guy who's having great matches and winning. And I will say about Eric Young, more praise for the guy. One of the prettiest flying elbows I've ever seen. His flying elbow is awesome.
He's a great talent.
Very talented guy. I fucking said that in 2005.
Yes.
No one listened to me until fucking this year. I'm sorry, everybody. I've been agitated of late.